Tonight on Podcasting Down, Metallica Saved My Life. Well, not my life, but the life of the people in the movie, which was called Metallica Saved My Life.
Podcast them down.
Hey, Elemental Nation, it is I, Tim. This is Podcasting Down. That's Matt. That's Doug. And today, I am going to bore them with my story about an unfinished movie that I saw an early screening of. So that's pretty cool. So, it is called Metallica Saved My Life. It is basically a 2.5 hour circle jerk of how great Metallica is and how great their fans are, and that's about it. Like, that's pretty much. Now you know what it is. You can shut it up.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. All right.
Wait. So, clarifying question.
Yes.
This is different than Through the Never?
That's a great question, Doug.
Through the Never. So Through the Never was a live concert interspersed with some weird some weird post-apocalyptic story about the stagehand who had to go out into the apocalypse, and I don't know what was going on. I'd rather they just put it out as a concert video.
I thought that was some kind of monster.
Well,
it was the kid with the red hoodie, right?
There is a strong similarity between Some Kind of Monster and Metallica Saved My Life. Now, I'll get to that in just a second. Let me back up. Metallica Saved My Life is, there it is. It was directed by Jonas Åkerlund, and they're having the sneak peek. So there was one theater in DC that was showing it the night before the Metallica concert.
Is that purposeful or just an amazing coincidence?
No, it's on purpose.
Oh.
They the only people who would be interested in this are basically people who might be in the movie. Right? So
Oh no.
Well, that seems to be their target demographic for this. So, like I said, it's unfinished, and I think by that they mean they haven't edited it down for flow. So it was basically like watching a movie with all the deleted scenes kept in. Okay.
Okay.
And it's just chunked into Metallica. It's lots of interviews with people, and then you just like chunked in with people attending shows and talking about like what they do and the sacrifices they make to go to these shows. Okay. And then they tell some people's stories. So the similarity it has with Some Kind of Monster is when I first saw Some Kind of Monster, it was probably downloaded from Napster, and it was a handheld camera in a movie theater where the guy bootlegged it, right? And there's a scene when Kirk, I own it now.
Okay.
I have it over there, right there. There's a scene where Kirk starts crying, and the cameraman who snuck the camcorder into the theater starts laughing. So the camera starts shaking, and you start to watch the movie within the movie of the cameraman's reaction to everything that's happening on stage, on the screen. So the similarity is that once Kirk starts crying, every time they cut back to him to ask him something totally unrelated, he still sounds like he's trying to stop or still crying. So I'm like, maybe he should redo some of these interview questions. Yeah. So what I have is, I took notes, on the way back. I wrote down everything I could remember. And so the movie theater it was showing at was the Regal Gallery Place, which is right next to the Capitals Arena.
Great movie theater.
In DC.
They have was it in one of the 4D experience movie theaters?
No.
Oh,
no.
Man.
But a family was trying to get in to one, and the usher stopped them. It's like, they're too young to go to the 4D thing. It was like,
Aww.
I was like, those kids are probably pissed, you know? So, no, it was just, I think it was in Theater 10. You know, they had those reclining seats, which I feel like they should get quieter motors on those, because as the movie started, everyone's So, there was a short introduction by James. So he's like, this isn't finished.
Hi, friends.
Yeah, if you're watching this, you're in a theater. You will not easily, like, I don't think there's going to be bootlegs of this like there was for Some Kind of Monster, because the theater made us lock up our phones in these pouches. So you had to put it in silent, put your phone on silent, then they'd put it in the sleeve thing, and then basically it had one of those theft prevention devices to lock it up. And so you couldn't open it without this device, right? And they gave it back to you. They didn't keep them. So you had your phone the whole time, but you couldn't take it out. And the same goes for smartwatches, earbuds, and your work cell phone, all of which I had on me. So I was like carrying this bundle of shit around. So the movie basically focuses on several categories of Metallica fans, more or less. They're kind of loose categories, but the problem is there is no one category that seemed strong enough. But Christopher from Burning Shadows went with me, and he pointed this out. There's no one category that was like strong enough to stand alone. So it's just kind of like a bunch of disparate groups that they just kind of stuck together and edited it into this movie. So it started with like the first Metallica fans, including Otto, who like if you've seen Cliff 'Em All, all of the 80s videos are basically from him. So yeah, so they saw him. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. I'm if you're planning to see this movie and you don't want to know about some of the people they talked to, skip to the end and join the Patreon, and thank you. So yeah, so Otto. So apparently Cliff saw Otto recording so many shows because he'd just follow them around and film them, that he basically gave them a pass to always come see Metallica for free or whatever, and just film all you want. And apparently Metallica in the later half of the 80s had a section where you could go and record and film all you wanted. So I thought that was cool.
That's pretty fun.
Yep. So then they also talked to the guy who started the fan club. Now the original fan club, he was in rural Oregon and found Metallica through tape trading. And he wrote to Lars and he's like, you're so amazing. And Lars was like, how the fuck? I can't do the Lars as good as other people. It was like, how the fuck did you hear about us in fucking rural fucking Oregon, man? So apparently the fan club address on the back of, I think, Ride the Lightning, or like early pressings of it, is his parents' address in Oregon. And he ran it out of the basement.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. They also talked to Brian Slagle. So he put together, metal.
Like the morning show in Baltimore?
No. Siegel.
Oh.
And who listens to morning radio anymore?
I don't know. Somebody.
The Wacky Morning Zoo Show.
The people who listen to heavy metal podcasts do.
Yeah, well, thank you for listening in the morning. Or the evening. Brian Slagle, Metal Blade Records, he put together Metal Massacre, which is where Metallica first got published. They had one song, I think, Hit the Lights on one of the Metal Massacres. They had one big celebrity and one minor-ish celebrity. The big celebrity was Jason Momoa. Talk about him. Yeah, he's apparently really into Metallica and moshing. I wouldn't want to be in a pit with him. Be like running into a wall.
Fucking 8 feet tall and 700 pounds. I'd be into moshing too.
Yeah. So they also had John Bush. So every time they talk to someone new, they'll put up their first name and their country, and it's like Metallica fan. So they had John Bush, but it just said John America Metallica fan.
Is he the youngest son of George H.W. and Barbara?
No. Oh. This is the best Anthrax singer and the singer for Armored Saint. Yep, he was there.
Voice of Burger King.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, they talked to them for a while. There was more like early fans. I don't quite remember them all, but they got like photos and video of them.
Did you say they had the guy from Megaforce Records?
So Johnny Z is dead, so they couldn't interview him.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so I bet they would have. Let's see. Okay, so then the next category was like super fans. Okay, so these are like the equivalent of deadheads, like people that just follow Metallica around show to show to show to show to show. And I found them to be fascinating. There was one guy who would get to the rail at show after show after show on their tour that it came to the point where James started recognizing him. And he's like, how many shows are you going to come to? And the guy's like, oh, all the ones I can get to. So they give him a pass where he can come to any show. How do I get that? That's what I know how you get that. You spend 5 digits on seeing them live, and you fight your way to the rail every night.
Yeah, you pay your way for 50 shows.
Yeah, that's how you do it. They had that guy. They had a factory worker from like Michigan who's been following Metallica around since like the mid 80s, and they gave him one of these passes too. But basically him and his wife or his lady friend, or I'm not sure who it is, like they spend all their money on hotels and traveling just to get to the show. So they don't have to pay for the show, but like it's to the point where they have to eat on a budget. So they're just eating like Dollar Tree food.
Oh, probably not great.
Yeah. They had this Chilean woman who dropped out of college to start following Metallica around South America after she saw them in Chile. And I'm jumping ahead here, but she also is in Freeze 'Em All, which is when Metallica played Antarctica.
Oh,
So she was part of that thing. She was in the crowd. Let's see. There was also a Japanese guy. Apparently, Metallica hasn't been to Japan in so long. The Japanese guy was wearing a what's that baseball team? The Tigers. You're muted. You're still muted.
Trying to find the team.
Like the Osaka. It's some.
Yeah, I think it is the Osaka Tigers.
Yeah, the Osaka Tigers. But he has number 72, and he put Metallica on the back.
Sorry, Hanshin Tigers.
Yeah, so he's got a bunch of patches. Well, they chronicled him going to Sweden to see Metallica and to meet up with other, apparently all these super fans are in contact with each other in various groups. And he was part of the group that raised money to put the Cliff Burton memorial up at the bus crash site where he passed away.
Oh.
So, yeah, I liked him a lot. All right, so then they had an overview of the unconventional places that Metallica has played and Metallica has fans. Okay, So one of them was Tuck, which you might remember as the Molson Polar Beach Party.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was the farthest north Metallica has played.
That was such an awesome commercial.
Yeah, and basically that show, like the entire town came out for. So
Yeah, because what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Yeah, and they brought cameras back. When was that? Was like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Everyone still loves Metallica there, apparently. So, or at least that's what it appeared. So they did that. They showed Antarctica. That one was interesting because they could only bring drums. There's a whole documentary about this that's separate from the movie. But just real quick, they brought drums, but they didn't bring a PA or anything. So everyone had to listen on headphones.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so everyone in the crowd had their own pair of headphones, and they were in these weird sheltery domes, and no barrier or anything. It was just everyone's standing in a circle playing, and you could go up and shove Lars if you wanted to. They talked about the Botswanian heavy metal cowboy culture.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's guys who dress like bikers, but they ride horses, and they're into metal, especially Metallica. And but they're in Botswana. It's pretty cool.
Cover them in our Metal in Africa.
We have talked about the Botswanian metal cowboy subculture, but we didn't talk about how much they loved Metallica, which is what they did here.
Yeah, I feel like that's a given.
Then they had a lot of fans from the Middle East, particularly the countries where you weren't allowed to listen to metal, like Iraq under Saddam.
Oh, right.
Like where it would literally get you executed if they caught you listening to Western influenced.
Now that's a super fan.
Yeah. There was also Syria, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabian one was interesting because it's they talked to an all-female metal band from Saudi Arabia. Now that's a recent thing because women aren't allowed, whatever. I'm not sure what the status is now, but like play guitar. What are you talking about? And one of them had her face still hidden the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like, more power to them. And they were pretty good. And they said they want, Metallica influenced them a lot, and they want other Saudi girls to be inspired by this and to pick up an instrument. So yeah, that was great. And I'm pretty sure one of them was at the screening because she was,
that's cool.
Yeah. She was taking pictures and talking to people after the front woman. Yeah, that was great. So the Iraq part had someone who was, there were very few people whose lives were literally saved by Metallica. This is one of them. Apparently he was out after curfew during the American occupation, during the first Gulf War. And apparently if you were out, they would shoot you on sight. So he was trying to get home, and the Americans found him, and he, put his hands, or like he got on his knees and did this. And they saw that he had a tape player, and they said, "What's on your tape player?" And he hit play, and it was Metallica. And the soldier was like, "Okay, go home." I thought that was cool.
Wow.
Good story. Yeah, forget the Syrian and Lebanese ones, but it's during the Civil War for both of them. Let's see. Then the next group was non-traditional metal fans, is what I would call it. So when I was at this concert, I sent my wife a photo, and she goes, "Sausage Fest. It's all white dudes." That's basically what she said, right? So these were people who were not white dudes, and how they found belonging in groups of Metallica fans, like Metallica Club, stuff like that. So they had this I called him wheelchair guy. He was in some kind of wheelchair. They didn't cover him enough. I want to know more about him because he seemed excited and hilarious, but they didn't talk to him enough. So hopefully the final version of this movie delves more into him,
or maybe he's gonna get like a spin-off.
Well, yeah, maybe. Well, they were talking about like there's one point where they're like how much preparation it takes to get to the rail, and that's like when they open the gates, you have to run. But there's also a competition for the handicapped area. And so they said, like, here come the wheelchairs, and they're all trying to get to the rail too. So, yeah, I really want to know more about him. Hopefully in the movie we get him. There was a trans person of color, who was basically got into this Metallica group of fans that would go and see Metallica together, and they're all having a good time. And one day he's like, "I have to tell you I'm trans," and they all go, "Oh, so let's go see Metallica," So and he was worried, they were gonna reject him, but of course they didn't, because
everyone loves
when
Metallica.
you're in one of these Metallica fan clubs. Our chapter, by the way, is the Damage Justice DC, which got a shout out in the video, by the way.
Wait, are you in Damage Justice DC?
Yeah, but all you have to do is tell them your email and you're in. So it's up to you how much you want to participate.
What if I just join their Instagram?
Sure, you can do that. Huh. Anyway, they all, everyone continued to accept him. There was a guy from South Chicago, south side of Chicago.
Wait, is it the Pope?
No.
Oh, because that would be amazing.
He talked at length about how much he likes moshing. Yeah, he seemed cool. And then there was a lady from Berkeley, I think.
California?
Who got into Metallica because Lars is hot.
Oh.
And a lot of this is in black and white. And the weird revelation about her, she's another person of color. But eventually the movie switches to color, and it turns out she's painted her face green. So I don't know what that was about. That was never explained.
Well, what's that about?
I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to be yellow, like 72 Seasons, and she got the wrong color. I don't know. Maybe Jonas Ackerland's lights were wrong.
Have you considered that she was some kind of monster? Holy shit, Tim.
Oh, there was. Now, if I were doing this movie,
Identifies as being from Berkeley.
she didn't. I said she's from Berkeley. She was definitely from the Bay Area
Okay.
because she got into them like after they moved to San Francisco.
Okay. All right.
You know, and again, that was in the 80s, so she's like an old lady now. So,
Is she 80?
well, it's great seeing seeing grandmas, like literal grandmas going like, yeah, I love Metallica. Fuck yeah. You know, so,
Man, that sounds fun.
yeah. So if I were editing this movie, the next two sections would be the first ones on the cutting room floor.
Okay.
They did a thing about cover bands, and I say this as being in a Metallica tribute band. No one cares.
Oh.
Not even about the biggest Metallica cover band in the Mid-Atlantic region of the U.S.
I feel like they'll care on June 8th.
Yeah, we were not featured.
You're not featured, no.
Actually, by the way, they did ask us if we wanted to play at the Philly show because they
What?
The day between the two shows, they do like more Metallica stuff, and they had tribute bands play.
Why the fuck did you say no?
Someone wasn't available.
Oh.
I didn't say no. I said hell yes.
Oh.
But anyway,
Was the person not available fired from burning shows?
all week up to the concert last night and the movie, I've been playing through all of 72 Seasons on guitar, not bass.
Nice.
So I got some good riffs in there. Anyway, yeah, like who cares? Who cares about the cover band? It was like, I don't care. I don't care about reimaginings of Metallica songs, you know, whatever. Cut that scene. It didn't add anything. The next was, they featured some kids, but I know how fast and hot kids burn through, like their interests.
Wait, did you just say you know how fast and hot kids are?
Kids burn through their
their
interests.
Okay.
You know, so like in 2 months, you know, the 6-year-old they talk to probably doesn't care. There was a kid who was like starting a thrash band and probably a better guitarist than I am. You know, he went to his first Metallica show and he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, we're going to bring thrash metal back. Then there were a couple people whose lives were directly saved by Metallica, which is where the title of the movie came from. So I mentioned the Iraq guy. Another one was basically a guy who wanted to commit suicide, and when he went to do it, I forgot if he listened to Metallica or wrote Metallica a letter, but basically they said, here's a ticket to our next concert. We will see you there. Okay. We have to see you there. And so that got him through his crisis. And because of that, he's still alive today. So how great is that? Then there was a guy who was in the army and he got into a motorcycle accident that after being discharged, that basically caused a lot of brain damage. And he had like a ludicrous amount he had to like, what was it? Frank Grimes had to learn to feel pain again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But basically he was bedbound, right? And one day he goes, like it just ruined him and his wife's life. And one day he goes, I want to see Metallica. They're coming in a few months. So basically he, with that goal, that got him to do all the PT, that got him out of bed and back as a functioning adult.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so that was good. I think there were a couple other people, but
like they clearly weren't interesting.
Yeah. There was also like some tragic stuff besides what happened to these people and the Civil War and cliff. And I would say they addressed the elephant in the room with the people who follow Metallica around. And basically the Chilean woman, like had to default on her credit cards because she just put all the Metallica's travel and tickets on credit cards and ruined her credit. There was a couple who sold their house so they could afford to continue following Metallica around. There was, I don't know if this counts as saving a life, but there was a young girl in the Netherlands who was hit by a car and passed away. Huge Metallica fan.
Wait, that definitely doesn't count as saving a life.
So the family told Metallica the story. Metallica said, come see our show. And they wrote a song about it called Here Comes Revenge.
Okay.
Yeah, which is on Hardwired. So, yeah, that was good. They also talked about, so it's not cheap to follow Metallica around, even if the tickets are free. So,
but it may save your life.
There were these Viking guys. Oh, we're not done yet. There were these Viking guys. They're like, they were either from Sweden or Denmark. You know, huge guys, huge beards. And they never smiled once. They never showed any emotion. And basically they fly all over the planet to see Metallica all the time. And they're and like all the other Metallica people know them. So that was cool. They do smile in the credits. So then there were the collectors. There's apparently 2 people who have the test pressing of Metal Massacre. Ooh. And they're both in the movie. There was a guy who has so many shirts. He tried to take a picture of him with all his shirts at an arena, and like each shirt is on one of the seats.
Does it feature
a lot of fucking
Lars,
shirts?
For the 2 people with the test pressing, does it feature Lars like giving them a cease and desist and demanding that you turn it over?
Nope. Yeah. And so let's see. They talked to the band a bunch. So like I said, Kirk was crying the whole time. James, this is kind of like what we were talking about with the rehab. You know, he basically said, like, I know other people out there are suffering. So especially with 72 Seasons, he's like writing about his struggles because it's going to help other people who are going through something similar or who can relate, you know? So he talks about that a little bit. He brings up that they're a family all the time. They talk about the reciprocating energy, which they have been talking about since a year and a half in the life of Metallica, where Kirk talks about it for a while. You know, the energy going back and forth between the crowd and the band. They also talk to some sociologists who basically, you know, talk about how music can be a religious experience for people and how being included in a fandom is a way to connect with people and, you know, like not feel alone and stuff like that. So there's some of that. I think there's a psychologist they talk to as well. Just to bring it full circle, when they're talking about the first fans, basically all of their original fans ended up working for Metallica in some capacity, right? Like,
what would a
guy who comes to all the shows, now he's the lighting guy. Guy who comes to all the shows, now he's a roadie, you know, that kind of thing, which is fine when you're 20. So, but there's a notable absence, and that is a certain person who was a huge Metallica fan that landed him a job in Metallica for years. And that would be Jason Newsted was not in this. The reason he got the job was he was a huge fan and knew all the songs.
Yeah. So
he wasn't in it at all. And neither was Dave Mustaine, probably because he's still bitter about the how he was portrayed in Some Kind of Monster where he was crying.
Okay, when Metallica was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I know they included Jason. Did they include Dave Mustaine?
No.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Well, he was only They even still in the band when the first record was released.
He was out of the band before Kill 'Em All was recorded. He claims now that he wrote the whole album, even though that's definitely not true. He claims a lot of things. Hit the Lights was, for example, was brought by James from his old band. So guess what? That one doesn't work. He also says the interlude that Metallica added in the Four Horsemen, after he left, it was the Mechanics, then he left and they changed it into the Four Horsemen. He's like, that's just Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah, except all the notes and chords are different. That's not Sweet Home Alabama. What the fuck? And he has writing credits on the first album. So why was he like, yes, I wrote this song. No, I didn't write that song. No, he's being revisionist. He destroyed all his brain cells in the late 80s anyway. So anything he says after that is suspect. Yeah, so just real quick about the director. It says Jonas Åkerlund. He is Swedish filmmaker. He was in Bathory, if that name has been bugging you, and he directed music videos.
Every music video ever released in the last 15 years, right?
Yeah. So here's a list: Queens of the Stone Age, Christina Aguilera, Beyonce, Blink-182, Blondie, Duran Duran, Lady Gaga, David Guetta, Jamiroquai, Lenny Kravitz, Madonna, Paul McCartney, Metallica, Moby, Ozzy, Pink, The Prodigy, Smashing Pumpkins, Rammstein, Britney Spears, Rolling Stones, U2, Robbie Williams, and Ghost, which is just as unmetal as some of those other ones. He also he did Ray of Light by Madonna, if you remember that one.
Like a ray of light I saw. Oh wait, that's My Naked Eye. But yeah, anyway, I know what you're talking about.
Let's say he also did a few movies. Oh, he did Lords of Chaos. That's right.
Oh.
Good movie. I enjoyed that. He also did the Taylor Swift 89 tour, World Tour Live, which was in 2015, confusingly. Yeah, so he's done a lot. I'm pretty sure in the credits, I also saw that the original score for Metallica Saved My Life was by Michael Ockerfeldt from Opeth. So, I'm like 80% sure I read that correctly. It didn't say Opeth, it just said Michaela Ockerfeldt. So that checks out, because anything that wasn't Metallica was unmemorable, just like all the new Opeth. So yeah, it works out. Good job writing easily ignorable music, Michael. So, all right. So yeah, that's about it. When I left, I got a poster. Yep. I got my phone unlocked and hopped on the metro and went all the way back home and scribbled down everything I could remember. So
James Comey'd it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when this movie comes out, so in the form I saw it, it's a bit of a slog.
Okay.
Because it just keeps going. I only checked my watch once, which is still a good sign. But there are very fascinating parts, but I bet most people would want to skip some of it. So yeah, but I think there's a tight movie in there that they need to edit it down to. And then
when's it going for wide release?
I don't know. That's a good question. They haven't said it, but there's if they put it on a Blu-ray, you can probably, like I said, reassemble it to the version I saw from the deleted scenes. And hopefully those deleted scenes include more wheelchair guy, because I got to know. Because he seemed so excited, but they never really spoke to him much.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear his story.
I want to know how he got into Metallica. And they also, a lot of these people listed how many shows they went to. I got to get on the stick, man. I'm still in single digits.
Well, the interesting thing about Metallica, right? They're bigger than metal, yet they choose to mostly be a metal band. I think, to their credit. But who was at the movie theater?
That is a good point. So, it wasn't totally filled, even though it was hard to get tickets. It wasn't totally filled. So maybe a bunch of people just didn't go. I got the best seat though, a third of the way back in the center. That's the best place to sit in theaters. Because that's where the sound mixer sits. So the sound is the best and the view is the best. It was men and women, probably like 2/3 men, 1/3 women. And a lot of them were the type of person that follows Metallica around. And here's how I know. I left the metro station behind 2 of them, and they were one guy was wearing a hoodie that he bought in Philly at the Philly Metallica show, right? And so that means he went to 2 shows because there were 2 shows in Philly. And obviously if you're going to go to DC for their 3rd show, you definitely went to both Philly shows. He was also wearing a Metallica hat. So quick math, he's already spent $1,000 on Metallica in a week. So him and his friend were there. And then I overheard people talking about whether they're going to make it to the Tampa show. You're muted.
Make it to the Tampa show.
Yeah. So the type of people who attended this early screening are like super obsessed Metallica fans.
All right.
Like, I mean, I'm obsessed in a different way. Obviously, like, I don't think either of you have listened to the isolated bass tracks to make sure you're playing them correctly.
Nope.
But I've listened to entire albums of isolated bass tracks.
I don't want to speak for Doug, but I have not.
Right. So, like I said, it can be edited into a tight, well-moving, interesting film. But the form I saw had room for improvements, which is probably why they said it wasn't completed. I'm just repeating myself now, so I think I'll shut up. But yeah, look forward to my tab book coming out one day, probably 20 years from now.
Nice.
And then you'll finally be able to do Cthulhu right.
Cannot wait. I just better start learning the bass.
Oh, yeah. Is it DJ?
More on heavy metal fandom coming soon.
Yeah. And future episodes, stay tuned for Judas. I'm so looking forward to Judas Priest.
Oh, yeah.
British Steel. It's going to be such a good episode.
So ready.
I got my silverware and trays ready to go. It's going to be great.
And it's also coming up soon. The Apple. Great.
Benediction, Ravage of Empires.
Yeah. Yep. All that is coming up on future podcasts. Podcasts them down. That's the correct plural, right?
Right. You know what? You might be making summer plans, but you won't need them because you'll be on the YouTubes and or Spotify listening to Podcast them down.
Also, the next Star Trek. I'm gonna do that. Yep. So before the summer's over, there will be at least one more Star Trek. Yeah. We got too much to do and not enough time.
Man, we should start posting on Thursdays.
Fuck that. All right. New episode every Monday, no matter what that guy says.
All right. A lot of you out there don't know that you're in a family. The
Podcast and Down family.
Down family.
The podcast us.
Yep. Podcast us. Don't let us down. Just be there next week on Monday and not Thursday for the next episode of Podcast them Down. We'll see you there. Smoochies, good night.
Cast them down.
Sorry, pal. We're gonna have to do this later. But could you do me a favor? Could you have a great day? Could you do that for me? Thanks.